Break It Table is brought to you by Nikki Hits Beauty Studio.
One of the major problems in the showbiz industry in Cameroon is the battle with mental health, and show business people are dealing with this every single day. Today, we are going to be discussing some of the highlights of the year that has actually called attention to let's take our mental health seriously. Rapper Tilla actually announced that she wanted to take her own life on social media a couple of weeks ago, and that led everybody worried and questioning what is going on with her as well as other artists in the industry. Today we are going to be discussing Cameroon entertainers and their struggle with mental health. And joining us in the studio, we have Njang Bate Derrick. He's an expert, guidance counselor, as well as counseling psychologist. He's going to be here with us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And I must confess, I'm a very huge fan of the show, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We're a huge fan. I guess we're going to be a huge fan of you after this.
I would like that, so I'll be very happy.
All right. Koi Longe and Yana also here in the house. So we've got lots of stuff to talk about. Welcome. Happy New Year, everybody. Awesome. All right. So today, Tilla scared everybody. When, I guess you know Tilla. Okay. Let's just be on the same page. So Tilla scared everybody when she took to Facebook, and she wrote, I'll just read that couple of what she said. She said, "I'm tired of living." And she says, "Just wanted to say goodbye. No pity party, please. Everyone will die at some point. So please don't dramatize this." And so everybody, this is not the first time she's, it's like a suicide attempt for her. This is not the first time. She's got everybody worried at some point. And then this one again, it was like a repeated thing. And so, given your line of business and the expert, as being an expert in this, what do you think is really the major issue with entertainers not being able to handle their mental situation?
Basically, I think in the simplest form, I can put it that they are under pressure, under tremendous pressure from the industry, probably their fans too. So they're going through a very tough time, especially if their careers are not going towards the direction where
they want it to go. But isn't that the same thing with everybody in any business? If you're trading at the market, or you're at the hospital as a nurse or as a doctor.
You're a trader in the market, but nobody cares about your life. All is that you go to the markets and you sell your produce. But once you're a public figure, the pressure is way higher.
Right.
The propensity for you to become depressed is higher because a lot of eyes are on you.
Right. All right. Tilla is a mother of one. She was in a very, complicated relationship as well. On and off with the boyfriend. And then, boom, she had a child. And then she was battling with some other artists in the industry, Askia inclusive. And then you had her former boss, Jovi. It's a lot in her head. But, does she have to, because the question everybody, perhaps every fan is going to ask is that, does she have to come to social media to write that she wants to kill herself?
Tilla is seeking for attention. She wants somebody to stop her.
Right. Stop her from dying or from writing.
From dying, because at times, most of the times, people don't want to commit suicide just because they want to be heard. They want somebody to listen to. They want to be able to talk to somebody. Once you don't have that, writing or saying something on social media is calling to the attention that I'm in a very bad place and I need help. So subconsciously, I think that's why. Because if she really wanted to kill herself, she should have just done it without telling anybody.
But so I think that lands me to the question now, where fans were like, if you want to die, just go and die. Why are you coming to announce to everybody that, oh, I want to die? This is like the second time or third time that she's doing that, and everybody is kind of like fed up. Do you think that also the pressure from social media users and general community of the fact that just go and kill yourself, instead worsen the mental state?
Of course, it's definitely going to worsen. Social media is very, very visceral. anybody can say whatsoever they want to say to you without knowing how it affects you. You understand? So definitely it's going to worsen it, because at that time she's feeling less value. She doesn't have value for herself already. So she wants to take her life. So you go on social media and tell her, okay, if you want to die, just go and die. Obviously, she's going to actually go through it. It's going to make it worse.
All right. I'm going to talk to my guys here. When you heard about Tilla's situation, and it's not just Tilla, there was a time where Askia was also going through the same route, I think, in life. I think there are other people. Fish also at some point was also going through, mental instability, and we talked about it on the show and gave our 2 cents on what he could do. Unfortunately, he passed away. May his soul rest in peace. Other people have also passed away from battling with mental health, depression, and all sorts of things. What do you think is actually the cause? He's talked about pressure, being an artist or an entertainer. Do you think what's actually the cause for mental health crisis for entertainers in Cameroon in particular?
First, I think that there's a lot of awareness that is lacking when it comes to mental health in Cameroon, and especially because it's a scourge for entertainers, and it will seem in Cameroon, female rappers. So first of all is awareness. You see that from the comment sections on Askia's post or Tilla's post, which were basically cries for help. The repeated call on people, the repeated attention seeking. It was not just attention seeking, as you rightly said. It's this cry for help, and it speaks a lot to the kind of loneliness that they feel as entertainers. There is a tendency that people fail to understand that entertainers are also human, however creative, however popular you get. And with that does not come a shield necessarily that shields you from anxiety and depression. The risks even I would think are even much more heightened, because you're in a space where if you're not surrounded by the right people, if you don't have people whom you could have a discussion with. Because see, when I saw Tilla's post, I was thinking of the people who might, if there is anybody whom she could even talk to. Because with me particularly, I think I use conversation as medication. When I feel down, when I feel like I'm not being myself, discussion and conversations with my friends becomes medication to me. And so I probably will not have to go to social media to actually cry for help. For her and for the other artists who have gone there, it shows that, there is nobody to talk to. And oftentimes people are not keen to the signs that of mental health and depression and anxiety. There was a time when I was going through, I think Joan and Yana know this, I was going through a really bad health crisis, and I was in a state of depression, I would say. But we have ways of masquerading it. Whether it's the glam on Instagram or Facebook, people are unable to see it, especially if you're in the public eye. You are under pressure to always put out this image of everything is fine. So people cannot see beyond that masquerade that you are actually crying. And sometimes all the glam is a way of showing that things are not going fine inside. You see? So that was the first thing. Number 2 is sometimes I think my very close friend and sister Beyonce says this better. Sometimes you are alone. Sometimes you are with people and you are still alone. I remember there was this day when I was contemplating taking my life, and Howard, my friend, was in my house with me, and I don't know whether I was just bleeding pain in my head, like everything was shutting down. You don't know whether you have purpose, whether you have meaning. You don't know whether you are getting to your end. I was just bleeding pain, and I'd never thought that was really depression in my head. Like, I'd not conceived it as depression when I was going through that pain. And I thought of it. The very fact that I could think of it, and I'd pride myself as a very happy person, but the fact that I could think of it was very scary, but I felt like I was getting convinced that this was a logical route. And Howard was about traveling to Limbe, I think. Yes. And he said something to me. He was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, yes. I never wanted Howard to go to Limbe because I knew that would probably be the end. I needed somebody to talk to, but I needed somebody to start the conversation. I never wanted to start the conversation. I never wanted to be vulnerable. There were so many things going through my head. And then when Howard left, then 5 minutes after, Howard came back. And he just kept his things and said, "Oh, he has changed his mind. He's not going to Limbe." It was everything. That moment stopped me from doing what I probably would have done. I don't know whether I would have done it, but in my head, it was him. And I think when I had my sanity and I discussed with him and I was telling him, this is what I was feeling. This was like weeks after. And he was like, yes, that's why he did not go. He saw this. I was not myself. Joe knows me, Yana knows me. So if we should be able to see when people are not being themselves, are not just taking like, this is a mood swing and that. So I think with most entertainers, because of the masquerading, you're unable to see it. I'm not saying I want to commit suicide again. 1 year story.
But also to a longest point about people trying to mask this pain. It's also people also trying to not just mask the pain, but also find coping mechanisms which can actually worsen the situation. So either they are glamming, or because looking good, they say it's good business, right? So you look yourself in the mirror, like you try to remind yourself of who you really are, or take drugs, or sometimes even they try to find ways which are not really healthy. It's not just drugs. Sometimes it's cutting themselves. So sometimes you could walk somewhere, you see somebody, you ask the person is a cutter. Sometimes like he says, yeah, I'm a cutter. That's because he's going through a really deep situation of depression. Because in cutting yourself is you, because the pain is emotional or it's in your head. But you need a physical action to make you feel that pain and release the pain. So they start cutting themselves. So there are many ways in which people cope with depression. But then my issue is sometimes we feel like depression is just one thing that you see and you know it's depression. There are many things. It could be anxiety. It could be you just not finding purpose, right? So it's self-doubt, it's loss of self-esteem. So there are very many things that depression or rather mental health. There are very different components of mental health. We feel like when you say mental, it has to be near. It's emotional. It's very much emotional. It's also you being alone and being lonely. Because sometimes you could be alone, but you're not lonely. You're fine. But also you're alone and you're damn lonely. So it's you just. It's like being thrown in an ocean. You cannot, and you don't know how to swim. That's basically how it feels. That's how bad it is. And like what he said, because they're in the public eye, there's this need to perform happiness. There's a need to perform, I'm having it all going, because you have people looking up to you, you have an audience that looks up to you, and the audience expects perfection. They expect results. And when you let them down, they in turn also feel like this is not going well, and now instead of them reacting with empathy, they react with angst, like Masadima, come off for here, that kind of thing. So they don't easily understand what is happening behind the scenes. Then now it wasn't the situation. But with Tilla in particular, I don't know if to say she's just seeking see, I don't want to sound like I empathize with the situation, right? But then I don't want to sound like the devil's advocate here, but the way she goes about it all the time, right? It feels like she understands that the public is going to empathize with her, contribute money for her, and then get her out of that situation. She should really seek professional help.
Let me disagree a little bit with it.
Yeah.
I think there is no one response.
Yes.
To mental health, and people will do all sorts of things to come off it. There's a possibility that she might think that by coming public and even being emotional, and people say it's emotional blackmail, that they might contribute money. And maybe what she needs is that money to do something that will give her purpose.
Yeah.
You understand? Mm-hmm. It's part of the illness.
Yes.
It's part of the illness. It's part of the manifestation of it. Yeah. First of all, we've created values that are very materialistic in our society, where you can feed your loneliness. You think you can feed your loneliness with more material things, with more glam, with more mediatizing of a good life. So, in a sense, even if she were saying, contribute money for me, so that I can put out a song, it will not negate the fact that she's still going through this and that she's seeking whatever avenue. She might not even know that that's what she's doing. In many ways, people don't know. I think that also people think that it is just the responsibility of a person who is going through depression to come off it. So they recommend you, God, pray more, go closer to Jesus, and all of that. You know,
God will help, but you need to actually talk to a professional. There's no two ways about it.
So let's just stay on social media for a minute. An artist, recently Gomez, the artist, went. I mean, I don't know what kind of way. He just went like
he went off.
crazy.
The guy said he was talking on camera and said, fuck. I thought the camera would take in.
You thought the camera would do what?
I thought like.
Okay, so Gomez, for those who don't know, Gomez is a Cameroonian artist, and he was signed to Lion Productions, it's a record label, and he left the record label last year, 2021. And the other artist who was also signed to the label is Kamini, the female artist, and she also just announced that she's leaving the same record label in 2022. So if a fan or a blogger or Facebook user, I don't know which one, went on social media and said, I hope so that Balok will follow Gomez. No, go follow Kamini as he don't come out for the... And so, I mean, Gomez just went out of his mind. Like called the guy out and, threatened to beat him up. It was insane. Like from then on, he just started, it was like a road to, I don't even know how to, yeah. So what do you tell that kind of, because he talked about signs, like sometimes you have to see some of those signs, that's if you're close to the person. But we're not so close to Gomez, but I mean, after that Facebook rant.
Is it a sign of depression? I just want to say this.
I think his personality.
I also want to say that people should be careful the way they curse. That guy said, fuck, until I thought the camera would take in.
So you're scared?
I'm scared.
I mean, he went out of his head. Like,
the thing is that, Joan, I also think that sometimes, right, there's a fine line between being angry, being sad, and being depressed. There are different stages. I think he would tell us better. Because sometimes people are like, oh, but then it's multiple levels of sadness that make you depressed, right? It's a consistent level of sadness. But then we live instantaneously on our phones, right? Where every minute we are either putting out our lives or taking other people's lives in terms of consuming the content or trying to project this lifestyle. I also sort of feel like we could have, like a longer talk about signs. We could have these little signs, but we think we are living the life because we want to compensate. It's like classical compensation. We want to compensate for the fact that maybe, I'm all glammed up. You know what they say now, catching flights, not feelings, all those catchphrases that try to make you feel like you're protecting yourself.
They don't reflect reality.
They don't reflect reality. So
I mean, he talked about all those various signs. Like, in case of Gomez, he could be very angry, right? And that's the reason why he was lashing out like that. Also, because he kept saying, you look at me like I'm hungry. I'm not hungry. I have a 3-bedroom. Just reminding us of that he's fine. Yeah, so he could be like, oh, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. But yeah, he's worried about what they were talking about him. So how do you deal with this kind of, like, someone who's watching from afar?
That's what I'm telling you. From afar, I don't know Gomez personally.
Yeah.
I don't know his character. You understand that? But from observation, I just think he was extremely angry. And sometimes we hate when somebody tells us the truth. If they tell you the truth, and
So are you trying to say that I would do
but I don't think his career is actually going the way he wants it to be. So
that's pressure. You talked about pressure.
of course you feel that. Of course. So to me,
It's manhood.
yes, he has to be angry. They told him the truth, and he reacted to it. You understand that? But I don't think it has anything to do with depression. He's just angry. He's just reacting to something somebody said, which may be the truth, and when it hurts, definitely.
All right, I think we all accept on the pressure from social media, from fans, from sometimes family, from friends as well. The competition is there. You want to catch up. You want to keep up. A lot of stuff. Daphne recently, I think she's talked about being lonely as an art, as a celebrity. Celebrity lifestyle is also lonely. It comes with loneliness. So we have to, perhaps she's telling everybody, all the other celebrities, like this is part of it. You have to find a way of dealing with it. But recently there was a music producer who came on air and heavily criticized her for lack of music, for not dropping music, and then blamed her husband or her marriage for being the reason why she's going through this music drought. In fact, she has not had a hit song in a very long time. And so she hasn't said anything, but her fans definitely, like beehives, they just, came for the guy. His name is Robinson Pifo. And so you were talking about pressure. So Pifo.
What does he do?
Music producer.
Where?
He used to manage the late Ashale at some point.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
that guy. So we spoke about the pressures that come, such posts like this, including the one that was made for Gomez as well. Then this one blaming your marriage for not getting hit songs.
It's first of all, it's far-reaching. There is no correlation between her getting married and not having a hit song. Like, that's just being a jackass. There can be a correlation between that and not putting out music, but not necessarily a hit song.
Yeah.
And what is it any of your problem if she doesn't want to put out music now? Like, how is it your problem? She's married. She wants to enjoy her marriage life for now. These are signs of a depressed person. Because he thinks that Daphne is the solution to his problems. Yeah. His own artist, he drove the artist to an early grave, and he's coming for Daphne. I've said this often. Don't come for Daphne. This part of the fact that she betrayed me by going to that man.
I think that guy too is very clueless, because you cannot just sit behind a keyboard and you assume
that's what's
going on. That's what's going on. Exactly. So that was very selfish of him.
Some of the causes of mental health struggles. We have in the entertainment industry, drug abuse or use, alcohol abuse. We also have relationship struggles. What are there other things that for us who wants to see those signs? Some of the things that we could easily pick out and say there's something going on. How can we help?
I would like to also say that artists are regular human beings like us, and most of those symptoms that they go through, those signs, we go through them in our own regular lives, you understand now? So the things you mentioned are basically generalized, you understand now? So as he said, sometimes artists will want to hide their pain by probably overdoing something. Yes, another time, from a distance, you look at it and say, well, it oversap. He has a good image. So, yes. So, but taking drugs is one of the most obvious signs that we can see, because you're not only taking drugs to have a particular high or to feel a particular way. You are taking drugs to drown your sorrow, drown the pain, drown the loneliness. So drugs are one of the most obvious signs of someone who's going through depression. So definitely drugs.
I was going to ask, because before the show we had a quick chat, and we're talking about the whole mental health thing in Africa and how the perspective people have in Africa, where they'll tell you, oh, it's not serious. Also because of how much we struggle every day, people feel like you should also be able to cope with that struggle, because it's just one other struggle. But then what most people really do is they just decide to talk to their friends, or maybe decide to go to social media, or go to church, and they think it's a spiritual problem. I mean, somebody is really, really dying mentally, or maybe the person is going through anxiety or bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, and they think, oh, nah, spiritual problem. You want to get wish for village. How else, because talk therapy I know is one of the most popular therapies. How else can we really, on our level, in terms of first aid, right, cope with these things? Because at the end of the day, all we have is each other. We're always going to talk to our friends and everybody. But then before we see a therapist, which there are very limited numbers in Africa, in Cameroon, let's talk about Cameroon. How do we, at our level, really try to guide and cope with these situations before we know we can refer them to a therapist like yourself, who's a professional?
I think the first thing to do is to, if you are the one going through that depression, the first thing you should do is, you cannot help it, you need to talk to somebody. You understand? You need to talk to somebody, preferably somebody who you know is willing to listen and who is not going to judge you. You cannot keep it to yourself. If you keep it to yourself, you're making it worse. And if you're the person delivering the counseling, the best thing you can do is to reassure the person. You need to reassure the person that it's going to be okay. That's providing psychological first aid. That's that first contact you have to somebody. Somebody comes to you and tells you about what they're going through. You first of all make sure that you listen to the person. You have to have great listening skills. Reassure the person. Then recommend the person to a mental health professional.
Okay. Nobody can tell you, say, it's not say, oh, we there for summer for the African.
It's true. And some people will just say, Master, that's a normal thing. Or you bounce back, you bounce. No, it doesn't help. Yes, go to church or let me take it to my pastor. Pastors do the actually provide counseling, but it's mostly directed to, they mostly use scriptures, they actually counsel, you understand? But they take it to a religious direction, you understand that? But actually, you need to talk to somebody who has gone to school for that particular issue. You understand that? Because they have certain techniques that they use. They use psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is also talk therapy. Especially the most common form of psychotherapy is cognitive behavioral therapy, where you use allow the person to talk, then while the person is talking, you pick out issues about the problem where you can work with the person to solve the issue. You understand that? Because when you discuss what is the negativity, you can actually know where to identify. Yes.
So it's basically going like, okay, history, the history of the problem, and then also the other to the bottom of it. Yeah.
To the bottom of it. Most of the times, some people are depressed and they don't even know what is causing the depression. You understand? So depression is actually is something that all of us go through. It's just that it's in different categories, different things. You understand? Some people are genetically predisposed to be depressed. You understand? So you have through cognitive behavioral therapy, you can try to find out where he actually started throughout the person's life. It can be just recently. It can be when he or she was 10 years old. It can be because I can remember one time when I was in university, I had a friend who suddenly became depressed. A happy-go-lucky guy. You understand? But once he got into university, he realized that because some of us who went to boarding schools, we are not too exposed to. When you got to university, you met different people. So your opinion did not matter. Yeah. You understand now? So when he got to the university, he realized that he was not having the kind of attention he used to have at boarding school. He was not that popular. He needed to actually work for it. You understand now? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he slowly became depressed. He went to a restaurant one time and he was eating Aero. Anyway, this is where everything started. He went to a restaurant and he was eating Aero. You understand that? But the thing that he was eating Aero, he was not swallowing it full. he was chewing it. So some other guys at uncle were laughing. I said, "Who said you want to come?" But I was getting village man. So they enjoy. So they were talking to him and laughing at him, and he was here. You could not do anything about it. He just left that place, cried, and went home. From that time, he developed antisocial behavior. He developed social anxiety. He was no longer, he was afraid to be in the midst of people. You understand now? That led to he just started feeling depressed in that time. He felt like he's worthless. He felt like he had no ambition. You understand now? So,
No, I can understand. He too chooses.
Well, I choose things, but not.
Anyway,
so behavioral cognitive behavioral therapy helps the therapist or the counselor to identify those problems, because it is talk therapy that enables the client to talk, allow the person to talk. So the person while the person is talking, you can help the person find solutions.
So you talk about the guy's history from school. And it made me think about things like PTSD, where maybe a girl or a guy is being abused as a child, and he cannot really stand the opposite sex or even just touching him or touching her. Like the moment you try to just rub your hands around them, they get this bout of anxiety. I'm fine. They get bouts of anxiety, or also sometimes even, they cannot bring themselves to get intimate with another partner. So things like PTSD, right? Do we get to ignore them because we think that it just happened?
If you touch a girl and she does not want it, allow it, Yana. It's not PTSD. She does not want it.
Well, we are being serious here. We are being serious here. Why is this so? I don't think you.
I think we are the sum of our experiences. You understand? Our character and behavior changes depending on how we have dealt with our experiences and the mark they've left on us over time. You understand now? So, but PTSD is mostly affects you on the negative side. You cannot have PTSD and suddenly you become a workaholic. You know, PTSD makes you unavailable for the moment. You always think about what happened in the past, and it affects your decisions now. You understand? Right. So it's always on the negative side. But one of the ways you can use to deal with PTSD is actually accepting to live the moment. Because when you have PTSD, you become anxious. You are afraid. You don't want. If it was an accident you missed, you're afraid to enter the car. But you're actually supposed to enter the car, live through the experience. So yes, you become used to it, and it stops giving you anxiety.
All right, so I think that, guys, this is serious business. Protect your mental health at all costs. It is important, it's a priority, whether you're in the entertainment business or not. As a normal person, protect your mental health. I think I would just say thank you so much, Derrick, for coming through. And please, he's going to be very much available if you have issues or somebody you know has issues, your neighbor, church member, whatever it is, please reach out to Freaky Table. I'm sure we're going to get through to him, or drop a comment in the comment section, and he and all of us will try our best to help as much as we can. And he is the expert though, so let's just be clear. Don't ask the longer for any help.
No, this man will mislead you.
I think, as the longest said at the beginning of the show, most of us are unaware of the fact that mental health is a very serious issue, and at times it's very difficult for them to find a mental health expert, somebody a professional they can talk to. So I would like to say that, as she said, I'm readily available for anybody who is going through anxiety, depression, and most of the times, most of the clients I have often go through mostly relationship issues that affects them. But I'm sure your mental well-being is extremely important. Be it in your relationship, be it in your job site, you need to be happy. So, and it starts with your mental health. So,
all right, guys, what do you think about the struggle or the mental health struggle in the entertainment business? Please drop a comment. Help someone. Your comment could actually help somebody today. Drop a comment in our comment section. Tell us what you think is the state, perhaps what your experience or anything that you come across the mental health situation. Whatever you say could go a long way in changing somebody's decision or making somebody's day even better. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been Core, Yana, Derrick, Joan. See you guys soon.
Freaky Table is brought to you by Nikki Hits Beauty Studio.
Thanks for watching the dopest TV show right now.
And don't forget to subscribe so that you can see our beautiful faces. Scratch that, our handsome faces. No, my handsome face. Right. I'm handsome.
Oh, God.
Okay.
All right, guys, to never miss a thing, follow us on all social media platforms at Freaky Table: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So yeah, stay tuned.